that brings us to the candidate that I'm enthusiastically endorsing for this race, Chris Runion, small businessman. He owns a sign company, started with 4 employees, grew it to 30 people, does signage, typical classic small business growth, a Trump supporter from day one, was with us in the campaign last time from the beginning. So if you live in this area, if you're in the 25th and you like the president and you're a Trump supporter, you have got to get out tomorrow to vote for Chris Runion between 10 and 4. If you want to know where the polling places are, there's 3 of them, one in each county. Just go to chrisrunion.com, and that's Runion, chrisrunion.com. I was chairman of the Trump campaign in 2016 in Virginia. Runion was a tremendous asset to us, great guy, and I would love to see him in the House of Delegates as a Republican, because not only is he going to do the right thing, he believes in Trump's America First agenda, and he's going to have your back and the president's back. These other 2 candidates, one ran Obama's campaign, the other voted for Clinton or Sanders. Give me a break. Joining us now, Chris Runion. Great to have you, Chris.
John, thank you. I do appreciate that. It's an honor to be on the show with you. Thank you. I really do appreciate being able to talk with influential and dependable leaders like yourself. You speak the truth. Well, and, that's what I have been all my life, good, bad, or ugly. I'm going to tell you like it is. And I have been a conservative Republican from the Nixon-Humphrey election. And I just broke my grandma's heart when she knew I was a Republican. And so been that way for all my life. Grew up here in the Valley, understand the Valley's values and the conservative nature of who we are and what we are. And that's the consistent theme with me. So it is great to be on here. I appreciate it, sir.
I tell you what, if Hubert Humphrey was running for president again today, and it was like he was in 1968, he would not only not be a Democrat, he would be like head of the Tea Party. The party has moved so far left. You look at Humphrey's policies. I mean, he was pretty conservative compared to what we've got going on right now. So why do you want to be a member of the House of Delegates?
Well, I touched on it there, and I thank you for asking that. I touched on it there a minute ago. I'm a product of the Valley. My values reflect the community over here because I have been here forever. I understand it. I'm a good listener. To be frank about it, I like to listen to what people have to say and understand and then reflect that. And as a representative, that is really the role. You reflect the will of the community and the people. And to do that, you've got to listen to them. You've got to tell them the truth. You've got to be honest and respectful to them and hold your values, never compromise on your values, but move forward and accomplish things that are important to us.
Well, I love the fact that you own a small business too, Chris, and as a small business owner myself, you really get a different perspective. And, some people, they categorize small businesses in different ways. I'll have people on and, they've got a couple hundred employees, and that's basically a small business. But when you started your sign company, did you buy it? Was that a franchise or what?
We bought it. Eddie started in the early 50s and wanted to retire, and so we were able to step in, and just a great, great group of people. And so that was a wonderful base that we built upon. And we built it on honesty, integrity, providing great service, and doing what we said we were going to do. And to me, that's the same thing that an elected official needs to do. And so I've been doing that for 40 years. My record is established every day that we get up and come to work. And we make a difference in our community. We've got about 30 employees, and you think that's about 120 people that depend on us as a team to get stuff done, and then hundreds and hundreds of customers, and it's quite rewarding to be able to achieve those things. And let me make a comment on it. I was listening to your news broadcast before you came on, and you got to announce a 3.2% growth rate for the last quarter. Isn't that fantastic? That's the Trump economy. I spent 8 years of my costs going up at those kind of rates, and my revenues not. Just flat revenues. We were chasing increasing costs, and so you can imagine what 8 years of Obama did to us. It was hard on the company. It was hard on our employees. Their families had to do without things because you just couldn't make any money. So now we come to the Trump economy, and here we are growing gangbusters. I could add 3 people today and put them to work, and I'm not sure that even get us caught up. It is just wonderful, and we appreciate that. And you really got to recognize that small government, less regulation, focused economic policies that achieve things are the way to go.
We're with Chris Runion. He is a candidate for House of Delegates. He's vying for the Republican nomination in House District 25. This is for the seat of the retiring Steve Landis. It is encompasses parts of Rockingham County, Augusta County, and western Albemarle County. And this primary for the selecting the Republican nominee will be held tomorrow, Saturday, between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. For more information on where, there's only 3 polling places, so it's not your normal primary. This is what is typically called a firehouse primary, which is controlled by the party, which pays for it all. You can go to chrisrunion.com, chrisrunion.com, and so you get the spelling right. That's Runion, chrisrunion.com, and the polling places will be there. Chris, let's get to some of the issues. Let's start with I-81. We finally got some relief there. Are you in favor of what went down in the final day when they came back in the veto session for I-81? Are you in favor of continuing that or not?
I am pleased that we've moved forward on it. If you live and work over on this side of the state, you know how bad 81 has been, and how it impacts your lives every day. And so I am pleased that we got the conversation moving forward. I am more than disappointed with the leadership of the governor, and this is just one good example of this. He waited till the last minute. He threw out a pretty substantial tax increase, and it's going to be a burden on Western Virginia. I can't support the fuels tax increase component of it. There are people that are going to pay fuels tax, our agriculture people, our people that don't live on the 81 corridor, people that don't use 81. They're going to pay for all that and not get any value out of it. So it did not make sense to me for the governor to wait till the last minute, spring that out. There was very little time, if any time, to debate it in the General Assembly. Why didn't we bring that forward during the session and have an open and honest, transparent conversation about it? We didn't, because that's how this administration has chosen to operate. And I'm more than disappointed. That needs to be changed. That's one thing that I'm going to fight hard for, is that we need to have transparent government. As an aside to that, I'm going to push hard for recorded votes in subcommittee. So
instead of just a show of hands the way they do it now, or a voice vote. I'm in favor of that. If you want to vote for something, vote for it. If you want to vote no, vote no. But either way, you're up there. You've got to be transparent. So I'm definitely in favor of that.
Transparent and accountable. Again, you and I are business owners. We're accountable to our investors, our spouses, our employees, and our customers every day.
That's right.
So let's just continue that in Richmond and get rid of this smoke and mirrors that you see down there.
I'm for that. All right, let's get to another big issue that is coming up. You know where I stand on this, obviously, but let's get to another big issue that you're going to be faced with in an area where most of your colleagues in Southwest Virginia are uncomfortable with casino gambling and sportsbook gambling in Virginia, although that has been legalized now by the Supreme Court. You're studying at the Governor Tunnels. I call him Governor Tunnels because he can't go in or out of the mansion without going through an underground tunnel. So Governor Tunnels wanted to study it for a year. So that was kind of stupid because, there's been casino gambling all over the United States for years. But whatever, Governor Tunnels, study it. It's going to come up again. It's going to be a big issue, Chris, in 2020. How do you stand on A, casino gambling in Virginia, and number 2, the ability to get engaged in gambling on football, baseball, and basketball, as every other surrounding contiguous state has done or is doing? What is your position on that?
Okay. On casino gambling, I think I've read a number of items on it. I was aware that the bills came forward, and I thought, to be honest with you, some of the stuff out of the Southwest, they hadn't thought through all the details on it. There are issues with casino gambling that could be positive. When you read some of the stuff, there's economic activity. On the other side, there was a really good article recently in the Roanoke Times, I believe, that talked about it is not a panacea. And oftentimes promised jobs don't materialize. Income levels aren't necessarily what are predicted. And so what I would like to offer to you is to reserve judgment until I can spend a significant amount of time studying it. I would want to listen to my constituents as well. A casino in other parts of the state can impact the constituents in this district. And I think to be fair to them and fair to the Commonwealth, I need to study that issue.
Well, we got
and
colonial.
I apologize for not knowing any more about it, but it is not something that has come up in my area right now for a big discussion.
Yeah, well, it's going to come up in 2020, and
absolutely.
Just give you an example. Chris Peace in my neck of the woods down here, by the Richmond area, fought to get Colonial Downs back. I was on the engine of that fight with him for 4 years. We finally got it back. Guess what? 1,500 jobs. 1,500 jobs. Real people, you can look in their eyes. They have real jobs, real economic activity, and now they have jobs where they didn't have one affecting their family. So I'm in favor of that. Now, that's casinos. What about the book, right?
Yeah.
Supreme Court says it's legal. Washington, D.C., which I go there every week. In August, I'm going to be able to walk in to a Washington, D.C. parlor or go online, and I'm going to be able to bet the football games, right? So I can give, and everybody else can give their money to Washington, D.C., or to Maryland, or to Delaware, or to West Virginia, or they can give it to Virginia. You're not going to stop it, so why not adopt it?
I think that's a conversation that we need to have. Let's go back to the comment I made about 81 and the governor. He waited till the last minute, threw this big tax package out that didn't have conversation. Let's have that conversation of how sports betting can impact the Commonwealth. And let's have an open and honest conversation about the revenues it can create and the costs that it may impose. To be honest, John, I have not thought through that issue enough to be able to comment beyond that on it. I would like to say I would go back to your comment about Colonial Downs. Yeah, I'm supportive of reopening Colonial Downs. My family has a long history of agriculture, and my children were involved in horses. I am familiar with that industry more so than I would be a casino industry. So I think that brings value to the Commonwealth. It's an existing facility. I think it makes sense. So you and I think, are probably in agreement on that. You said 1,500 jobs. That surprised me. That is fantastic, particularly for an area south side of Richmond that needs the economic development. So those things are all positive that we can bring forward. I just need more information on the other things. I appreciate your point of view on it.
That's fair. Okay, let's get to another issue that's going to come up. This is probably a little bit easier for you. Equal Rights Amendment, for or against?
I am against the Equal Rights Amendment. I was in college when I thought that thing went away. Now, and my understanding is there's a shelf life on those things. If they're not approved, then they go off the table. Why would you want to adopt a 42-year-old piece of legislation? To be honest with you, I think it's the 14th Amendment addresses those issues already. And again, if we're going to have that conversation, let's have that conversation out in the public. Let's not use the emotional attack of a generation and a half ago that's really not relevant in what I think our community is today.
All right, I got 2 minutes. When you're knocking on doors and talking to voters in the 25th District, Chris Runion, what is the number one thing in their minds?
It's leadership, it's honesty, it's doing what you say you're going to do, being who you are, standing for your values. And I am a conservative Republican. I am conservative socially, and I'm conservative fiscally. And I have always, and I am, because that's optimism. You know, we can make the world better if we do the things that we say we're going to do. And that's smaller government. That's respect life from conception. That is get rid of Obamacare, Medicaid expansion. That's been a disaster financially. Support our agriculture. We've got some regulations. I was chatting with a gentleman last evening about some of the regulations, and he actually worked for one of the state agencies that regulated some of this stuff. And he said, yeah, we've had overreach. We need to go back and look and do the things that make sense to give us a return both for our families and also economically.
All right.
And so those things all rolled together is do what you say you're going to do, maintain your values, don't flip-flop. Don't be the person that chooses the most, I call it that liberal claptrap. You talked about Mr. Humphrey, and we've heard that claptrap for the last 40 years. Mr. Obama kind of updated the language and expanded it to the edge, as we have some of those other people that are doing that. We don't need to buy into that stuff because it doesn't work. What works is good, small, conservative, fiscal responsible government. Limited constitutional government.
Chris, if you win this nomination and the election, Chris Runion, are you going to work with me to help and maximize the Trump vote majority in the House District 25?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Win or lose, I am there. So, you know, I mentioned it earlier. My business went from 8 years of I'd have been better off putting the money in a savings account to where we're growing, we're hiring people, it's exciting, and I'm paying taxes, man. I paid more taxes this year than last year.
It's exciting.
And you know, the other things that I really support from that Mr. Trump has achieved is, and our grandchildren will thank us for his judicial appointments, both at the Supreme Court level and the federal bench level. Those are game changers. Those are critical reasons that we need to make sure that Mr. Trump's reelected.
Well, it's as a small business owner, it's very exciting to get up every day, and the revenue line is above the expense line.
Absolutely.
When you get up every day and the expense line is above the revenue line, that's where the stress comes in. I got to go. Chris Runion, go to chrisrunion.com. Hey, the election is Saturday. That's tomorrow, 10 to 4. Go to chrisrunion.com. Trump supporter running against two never-Trumper Democrats for the Republican nomination for House of Delegates. Unbelievable. Hope you win, Chris. Good luck.
Thank you, John.
I'll be right back. Stay with us.